classify and support different assets that are within our organization. This is the second time that I'm bringing up the word criticality. Yesterday, we talked about the criticality of a system. Today, we're talking about the criticality of information. And what's the difference between criticality and sensitivity? And there is a difference between it. The way that we classify information is directly related to what controls we put around it. So, for instance, sensitivity of information here would be commensurate with the losses to an organization if that information was revealed to unauthorized individuals. Let me go ahead and just put that on the slide so then we can make sure we have a discussion about that. Let me pop that over here real quick. So sensitivity here is usually it is the sensitivity of the information is typically commensurate with the loss to the organization if that information was revealed to unauthorized individuals. So what does that mean? Let's ask. How about we go with Taylor? Taylor, what does that mean? Sensitivity of the information is commensurate with the losses to the organization of that information if it was revealed to unauthorized individuals. What's that mean?
I think it means let's see, how should I put this? Kind of like it's almost like a level, right? Like how sensitive is it? And it's kind of, I guess, how adversely does it affect the organization if that information is lost?
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head. Let me give you an example here. So in the book, they talk about it, and I'm going to talk about it as well. Ashley Madison. So at the time, I remember I was supporting a customer, and at the time, I read the article about Ashley Madison, and the data had been compromised, and I remember thinking to myself, who in the hell is Ashley Madison, and why is she important? Now, a naive approach to think that way, because I had no idea. Being a happily married man, I never had gone out to that website, nor had I ever gone out to any websites like that. And so I started doing research, and I was like, I didn't even know that something like this existed. And I, again, being naive. So when I found out that it was what it is, and if you're not familiar with it, look it up, what Ashley Madison is. I was curious. And, sometimes people say curiosity kills the cat. Well, in my career, that's something that I have continually done over and over and over again, is been curious, and I'm still alive. But so I went out and was able to obtain a copy of the database that was compromised through different resources that I know how to get information. And to my surprise, the same day that the compromise happened, later on that evening, I brought down that database, and being an expert in structured query language, started to plow through, writing different scripts, looking for people in the 35758, and I was shocked when I saw over a dozen of my friends and colleagues were on that list or in that database. I was shocked that they used their real names. Shocked that some of them used their corporate credit card information. And probably even I wasn't as shocked once I started seeing some of the names, because I was like, yeah, I could totally see that dude. And well, yeah, I could see that guy. Yeah, okay. But going to church, seeing some of those people on that list that you see in church on Sundays, that was eye-opening to me. And so the sensitivity of that information doesn't necessarily mean that you or that organization is going to be completely out of business. But it's definitely going to cause some problems, at least in that case and many other cases where sensitive information is pulled. It's definitely going to cause some problems. So what are some of the ramifications? Think about, in this metaphor or this example here, this paradigm that I'm giving with Ashley Madison, for instance. I've known out of those 12 people that I recognized on those databases, or in that database, and some of the tables that were in there, 3 of them ended up getting a divorce within a year or 18 months after that was published. So is that information sensitive? Well, to them it was, absolutely, because it's to the person that, in that case, that data belonged to. Sure, they could make they could go out and say that, hey, that wasn't me. Somebody put my name in there. Somebody also took my name and knew my credit card number. And I don't know what the argument is there, but that just sucked for those people, that they got themselves into that position. And being sensitive in that particular instance, once you lose trust, you have to take expensive measures to respond to those trust issues, and sometimes you can never regain those customers. So I think that is the biggest issue with that. And a few others that I think about here, and we could pretty much cherry pick just about everyday news headline. But another one is, and I talked about it yesterday, OPM, right? In the Office of Personnel Management, when they that information was absolutely sensitive, and that being compromised, that was a really big deal. So I think that those two really tell us a little bit about the sensitivity of information, whereas the criticality of information here, criticality of information really means, to me, it's mission critical. So this directly addresses how the loss of the information would impact the fundamental business processes of the organization. So again, talking about asset security here, I think of if criticality of intellectual property is taken, now somebody knows what your secret sauce is. That could devastate a corporation. The example that they give in the book, and I put the book up there on the electronic copy of the Sean Harris book up on the Cyber Ninja website, and I got that from a free resource online that was legal. It is legal, so I put it up there to share that with you. And the criticality of some of these things as we go through to be able to talk about it really helps us decide what security controls we need to put in place. So check this out. With the example that we talk about, or that they give in the book here with the criticality, is a company called Code Spaces. And that company provided code repository services. It was forced to shut down after a 2014 unidentified individual or group deleted all of the code repositories. So I kind of think of this situation kind of like GitHub, and that, you know, everything that GitHub does. In this particular scenario, Codespaces was forced to shut down after an unidentified individual deleted its code repositories. The data was critical to the operations of the company, and without it, corporation had no choice but to go out of business, which it sucks for them. And, you know, in that particular case, the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability should have been better guarded with different controls. And unfortunately for them, that loss impacted the fundamental business processes of that organization. So that's a big deal, big deal. Are there any questions here on the difference between criticality and sensitivity before we move on? Anybody have any other examples? Okay. So I would just add one more thing to this right here, is that usually when something when data is sensitive or critical and it is compromised, usually someone has to fall on the sword. So who is that? That's going to be typically senior management or somebody like the CISO that will end up falling on the sword. And what does that mean? That means they end up either resigning or getting fired. And you know, with some of these massive organizations, it's very difficult to try to cover every hole or every vulnerability or every threat within the organization. So I don't necessarily envy some of those positions, but I guess that's why they make the big bucks. I read today in one of the news articles that one of the executives from AT&T will get a $274,000 a month retirement package for the rest of his life. And you know, that's, you make that type of money over time, and I guess that's something that he's going to be laughing about that all the way to wherever he's traveling all around the world. But that's some massive amount of money, but also huge responsibilities for executives to be involved with making business decisions that